Now this is the last slide that I'm going to show you here, and I want to zoom in to make sure that you can see this, and I will provide these slides. But what we're looking at here is Heilbrun's conceptualization of training in forensic psychology. Law and psychology interest areas with associated training. And this is a very complicated chart, but when we break it down, it's pretty easy. So we really have two domains over here. We have research or scholarship and applied psychology. What I do right now is research and scholarship. What I used to do is applied psychology, which is like regular interactions with people. I guess that's not a very good definition. Applied psychology is going out and using what you learned and applying those psychological skills. So if we look across the top axis here, we have clinical work, experimental work, and legal work. Now if we look at research or scholarship in the clinical domain, what we have is developing assessment tools, looking at intervention effectiveness. Like for example, we might develop a treatment program for, I don't know, we could say a treatment program for sex offenders or something like that, and we could evaluate its effectiveness. We could look at epidemiology of different behaviors. So we could look at criminal behaviors and look at the incidence and prevalence, or we could look at how frequently people are the victims of specific crimes, stuff like that. The next category over here, which is experimental, social, developmental, cognitive, and human experimental psychology, is looking at the research process into phenomenon like memory, perception, child development, group decision making, anything that might have an impact on a legal decision is really open for research. And then the third one is the actual legal category, and this would be like developing mental health law or other laws relevant to health and science or legal movements. One example might be the death penalty. As a forensic psychologist, you might look at the research and make some conclusions on the death penalty, and you might try and advocate based on what you know from the research to develop model laws, or laws that are relevant to mental health based on science. Now if we go to the lower category here, this is the applied side. So this is what you usually think of. So the applied side is like going out and doing the actual work. Here in the clinical domain, remember the clinical domain up here, what we have is forensic assessment. This is an area in which I hope to practice in the future. I think assessment is very exciting. I think assessment is better than actually doing therapy sometimes. But you can go out and assess for a number of different things in a forensic case. You could assess IQ, memory, you could assess for brain damage, personality disorders, depression, anxiety, anything under the sun that's related to psychology. Now, people typically split their practice into assessment and treatment. Now, treatment would be like doing psychotherapy, and you can do forensic treatment. So sometimes when people are found incompetent to stand trial, they go and work with a forensic psychologist and receive treatment in order to restore competency. Or you might work in a jail or prison and directly provide treatment to inmates. Or you could work on an outpatient basis and just receive referrals from police departments. Now, integration of science into practice means that you are informed by the research, and you take empirical evidence and science based decisions into your practice. So you don't just go out and do whatever you think works, you actually practice from an empirical basis. Now the next applied side, this is the experimental category. So here is kind of a neat category, and forensic psychologists oftentimes do jury selection. This kind of falls into the category of trial consultant. So they might do jury selection, they might work with attorneys to develop litigation strategies, they might take the state of science, which means like the best research evidence that we have right now, and consult with attorneys on that. Or they may go into a courtroom and actually work as an expert witness and testify regarding the state of science or current research. Now the last category here, again, this is the legal category. So here would be working to develop policy and legislation. So you might be a consultant with a legislator or something like that, or again work to develop model laws. So that's Heilbrun's conceptualization. Remember that name up there. You'll probably see that again. And this is the last slide for today. Really, if you understand and know this slide, you'll be good to go for the rest of the semester. Well, not really. You still have a lot of work to do. But this gives you an idea as to how broad the field of forensic psychology actually is. And there's so many things that a forensic psychologist can do. Any application of psychology to the law. So just think about how broad that area is and how many different things you can do as a forensic psychologist. Through the rest of the semester, we're going to talk about a lot of those areas, and you'll start to really understand what it would be like to be a forensic psychologist, and your first paper deals with this as well. So that's our first video. I hope to do these. At the end of the week, we'll have discussions, things like that. You'll have the PowerPoints from the book, and then PowerPoints from this. You're going to have a lot of material in this class. But that's how we're going to make this experience a good educational experience. So again, I'll try and do these after you do the discussions and read the book, so it'll enhance the learning. Usually my lectures will add to the material and hopefully make this class a great experience. So that's a wrap on the first video. You'll have many more to follow. Keep watching.